Good morning, and welcome back to Who Am I? I've been thinking about things this morning. I've been thinking about who we are and the meaning of stuff and what the problems with things are and what the solutions are, who we are, how we're designed, and how we're going to get out of what some people think is this tremendous, horrible, horrific pickle that we've gotten ourselves in. Now, a lot of people are just knee-jerk reacting. They are feeling tremendous negative feelings, and they are acting on these negative feelings. Even if it's just in small ways, like, or angry. Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Who? Uh, Nobody trusts anybody. If the Republicans had lost, they would have been screaming and clamoring for a recount, for investigations, for whatever. But we've been trying to shut them down for the last however many years. And so this is an absolutely perfect play, because when we, perhaps, I don't know, I have no idea whether there's real voter this or that. There's no way to untangle any of that on either side. And as a matter of fact, this is the perfect moment. It doesn't matter because we're roughly half and half anyway here. This is the perfect moment to inject into the conversation some sanity here. Who are we is the answer. I mean, it's the question, but it's the answer. The answer to the question is the answer to our problems. Understanding source energy, ourselves, how we relate to source energy, what our positive and negative emotions really are, who our positive and negative selves are. Do you know that every single one of us is meant to be here? Every single one of us is blessed and perfect and part of the wholeness. That's one of the biggest things to understand. And then you go, yeah, but there are some people who are so much worse than other people. And it's true. The ones who are actually wielding the Loki energy, the demonic energy, the Shiva energy around the globe, the ones who are actually doing it, the ones with the guns in their hand and the evil in their eye or the blankness in their eye. It's more like reptilian than, actually evil. Those are the ones who are bad. They're bad. Let's get rid of them. No, the problem is we've got to understand the energies, what they are, how they flow, how we relate to it. And the biggest part of this right now, we don't spend any of your time pushing against him. At least I'm not going to, unless you feel really compelled. But then you've got to understand that you're really compelled from your position on the grid to wholeheartedly understand what the wholeness is from where you're standing. So it is good and just and right that you're pointed the way you're pointed. It's just you got to understand the meaning of your positive and negative emotions. And you are perhaps pointed in some direction and very, very strongly in a state of some negative emotion. What are you going to do about that? I think collectively we need to understand who we are. Quit hating your neighbor and quit fearing your neighbor. Even if he is MAGA, even if she is MAGA, quit fearing them. Understand who we all are and how all of this stuff works. There's only one way we're going to get from today until to our true tomorrow without killing each other. And we're going to do plenty of that. We're going to kill plenty of each other. But you know what? If it's true what Abraham says, there's nothing serious going on here. When you die, you are still here. You're still here. Your consciousness is still engaged. You may not be in a physical body, but you're still engaged and relating to the physical world, because apparently that is where the leading edge is. It's where all of us are, physical and non-physical. We are all right here in this moment. In this moment that is so meaningful, because it echoes back to things that happened last century. And, some people, they look at the question of who we are, and their answer in their mind immediately is distrustful, fearful, and pessimistic, because they're looking at our history. And looking at our history, you could imagine that, well, based on our track record, it is likely that we are going to, fall into this, that, or the other thing. But you know what? I think humanity has been working very furiously on a project for the last century that was not in place when Hitler won Germany and when the concentration camps were, we've just got to understand, so how is this going to work? Well, I just had a notion of, well, what happens if certain kinds of camps do spring up? Well, they kind of did in their own way when it doesn't matter who's in power. It's been kind of going on. We need to be paying attention to this. But pay attention to whatever you feel called to. Whatever you feel called to. And then understand your negative self about it. I would not ever act from my negative self. Well, this is not true. I have acted from my negative self to some small degree, never to a large degree. I have always had more sense than that. And because of that, I have never been in major trouble of any sort, not with the law, not with my mother or father or our bishop or or the teacher, the principal. I've never been in trouble because I'm sensible. But that's not it's not. Let's back up to the beginning, because I have a true practical position I'm going to push forward. And I think it's really, really, really important that we take all of this with an eye to an understanding of who we are. Because if we understood the abundance creating mechanism that we are sitting in the middle of, and then was armed with a way to pull power from thin air, we could go out into the wilderness and survive whatever. Or we don't even have to go out into the wilderness. How about this? If I can set my house up so that I can plug into things that do not require a grid, then when the power goes down, well, first of all, it's never going down. So there you go. Let the storms rage on around me, and still I have my climate control. And I think it's just a marvelous, marvelous thing. I think maybe we should have put another, that would have been a good idea. Put another one right over there. I wonder if it could be. I'm sorry, I'm talking to myself. The problem with this Who Am I format is that I have learned to talk to myself, to let my inner voice just spin without me monitoring it so much. I have a mechanism by which I can just let my inner voice flow and then point it towards things that both of us care about. And it turns out this source energy thing and the Who Am I project, both of us seem to care about this one. And so I'm getting quite a lot of assistance from my own inner being as far as energy goes, as far as inclination, and I don't have to whip myself into, I did a little bit at first. There have been a few times when I've kind of wanted to stay in there in bed and let the morning, get on with it. But now that I do this every day, when it starts to get light and I'm in bed upstairs, and it's like, I'm past. In some ways, it's why I'm looking forward to winter. Because now that we've passed the time change, which I hate the time change, I don't even care which one they pick. Just pick an effing time zone and stay there. This daylight savings time is daylight confusion time, and I know a lot of people who feel this way. They don't like it because it discombobulates you from the natural rhythms of the allness and the planet. And actually, that is probably what, if there is an ultimate chaos with a capital K and coherence with a capital K, battling one another epically on a mythological stage out there, it's probably those who would keep us down. The one thing that they don't want us to do is to link into the natural rhythms of the planet, the electromagnetic field of the biosphere, of the planet's spinning in its motion, in its orbit, spinning in its motion. All right, so what is over unity, first of all? Over unity is, I'm starting to get cold, hold on. So what is over unity? Over unity is an over unity device is a device that can put out more ohms, amps, whatever the units are, than what it takes to amps, probably, than what it takes to run. So it's putting out energy charge or whatever. They say if you have been educated in any of our collective education system, you'll say, wait a minute, that doesn't sound possible. That doesn't sound possible, but it is possible. And every time anybody has come up with a device like this and taken it to the patent office, or it has gotten wind, they with a capital T, whoever they are, has gotten wind of it and taken it away from them in the middle of the night, sometimes murderously. There's been all kinds of different stories, many stories of this tale, this legend, the legend of the over unity device. And, they come in the middle of the night and snatch it from them. Or they innocently go to the patent office thinking that they are going to start an energy empire. But the whole point of it is, see, if you have a device that will do this, the whole point is, well, maybe they did want to, like, just sell a whole bunch of them to everybody and put all of the there is a national security issue here. There really is a national security issue here. And that's why we need to implement universal basic income. Universal basic income, we need to implement it now. The main thing that it's going to do for the people of whatever country has implemented it, whatever wholeness, we are still a rich country, even if we just elected him. And as a matter of fact, I've just got to learn how to love him. It's sort of like Andy Griffith and the pickles, And Aunt Bee keeps making them, and at first they try to get rid of them, and then they have to get her to make more of them because she's gonna, I don't know why they had to make her get more of them. They make more of them, but then she enters them in the, it's because she wants to. Anyway, they make her do more pickles, and finally he just gives up and says, you know what, we just need to learn to love them. That's what we should have done in the first place, learn to love them. And I know it doesn't sound practical because there's a whole lot of things that are very much like what they were a century ago. And every time a dictator, so now this is my very first time in the middle of, now I was here during his last presidency, but there was a lot of guardrails in place back then that may not be in place now. You know, there was a lot of the order of the regular order of things was in place, and some of the crazy ass things he says, you know, we should have been very careful with this man because he's a reflector. He's a smiling, narcissistic reflector of things, and it's true, all of that. But we should have realized the danger of setting him loose out on the dark side. We should have taken him into our loving bosom from the first and loved him. He only wanted to be loved. If all of the show people, the glitzy glammy people, had loved him and then corrected him, figured out how to love him and correct him and guide him in what we wanted him to do and what we would do for him if he would do stuff for us, you know, I don't know. I think that's the way it works. But instead we let him go to the dark side. And so now he's doing that for them. And now we've got to understand who we are. And the first thing I think is there is an aspect of what they say that they believe that we need to take them at their word and stand on that without, just stand on it regardless of what we've actually got. But their word about individual freedom. Because as long as you have your individual freedom to follow your you know what you have individual freedom to do, and it's the only thing that matters, and that is the individual freedom to align yourself with your inner being. And from that position, and that position always feels good, so this is a position of good humor. This is the position of when they take you to the gallows, you're joking as you go. When you're eating tulip soup in Holland in 1944, you're sitting across from your husband, probably playing cribbage and making jokes, you know, gallows humor, that sort of thing. But I'm not saying this as some sort of heroic act. I'm saying, oh, but if you can take it all the way to whatever. What am I saying? What am I saying? If you are in alignment with your inner being, you always feel good. You feel optimistic about tomorrow. And do you know what? I feel really optimistic tomorrow. For tomorrow. There's a part of me that's really glad in a way that he won because of the way the energies are gonna work now. First of all, we are not Germany. It is not 1933. He is not going to get up. Well, you know what? I need to start listening to what he actually says. And I need to find something that he says that I can agree with, that I can wholeheartedly agree with something that he says or stands for, so that I can stand there and criticize everything else that I hate. But you have to confirm people. You can't just subtract them. We can't just say, bad, bad, bad. He is Hitler. It's playing out all over again. My hair is on fire. Light the forest on fire with your hair on fire. Blame it on him because he's the dictator, right? When you're the one who did it. So how do we defend ourselves from this? I'm not saying that he isn't awful, but I am also saying that he is a part of our unknown self made visible. And we cannot subtract him. We cannot subtract any of us. We cannot subtract the homeless. We cannot subtract the different. We cannot subtract our neighbors to the south. We cannot subtract communists. We can't subtract fascists. We are all in this together, and our understanding of ourselves is going to bring ourselves in the future to, you're going to be really excited to understand where we really are evolving to. And when we stop resisting it so hard and recognize all these wonderful things that have happened for us, that continue to happen for us, and nothing has changed there. Nobody has taken anything away from anybody. Don't push hatefully back against him or them or anybody. In the interim, I'm going to tell you where I think some potential for danger, for something that you should pay attention to that we could get out ahead of. A potential problematic point. I live in the middle of a blue state, and he is not going to be the state of inclusion for people that hate him. He is not going to, he's going to try to get revenge because he's just like that. And if you loved him, then, if you live in and we are smack dab, if you look at the map, the way they're drawing that map, and I know he's going to look at this map, he's going to see this huge, what appears to be huge island of blue in the middle of the country. And he's not going to think very highly of us. So if we ever did have some sort of a drastic a natural disaster of some sort, enormous fire issues or tremendous flooding damage, or even, like a winter storm problem and power outages everywhere, or we're not going to get a lot of federal help. Now, since I think their inclination is to throw stuff down to the states anyway, that's probably a good thing. I don't know what's a good thing. Not that he's going to want to take revenge on us. But if any community understood over unity, they could figure out how to power up their community without having to have that grid out there that keeps popping and popping and popping. I think it's somehow, it must be significant that I picked a neighborhood. I found this neighborhood, and of all of this neighborhood of Corrales, which is particularly vulnerable to what just happened to us this last week, which was a snowstorm, a snow and ice and branch breaking event all over the treed Rio Grande Valley, and anywhere where there were power lines running through it and over it, and the tree, it came down all over and around it, brought the power lines with it, and power went down everywhere. And we happened to be on one little transformer that has like 5 customers, and it's really quite small, and we were one of the very, very last to be put back online. And we keep going down occasionally, just pop down here and there because of where we are. I think it's because my inner self, my inner being knew that I wanted to be reminded of this vulnerability, because this is a key vulnerability of human beings. And it's also a key besmirchment upon the landscape, all the wires and the poles and and it's a big, the lineman job even to keep power moving from the power station through the transfer station, through all of the the little mini, until it spreads out to the wired homes where the power comes in through wires. I mean, that whole system. First of all, it's 20th century. It's very 20th century. It's not 21st century. By the 21st century, we should understand that we don't need to do it that way. We can do it wirelessly. We can even do the energy wirelessly. But the reason we haven't done it is because we don't know who we are. And honestly, it is going to be a national security issue to shift as much as we need to shift. And but you know what? Even the pandemic was a little thing that just kind of showed us, it highlighted in that moment, sort of pointing to this is where, this is, what do they call it? The jobs that they were necessary jobs. They didn't call them necessary jobs though. They called them something else jobs. And we were grateful to all of those people who were engaged in those particular activities, and some other ones could just wait. Even for the most part, things like dentistry, although, emergency dentistry and overall dentistry still needs to be maintained. We need to implement a universal basic income to make sure that everybody, and you know what? If you happen to be in a nice house and your job, I would suggest that you, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. First of all, people shouldn't be trying to live too far out into extravagance. Not too far. Don't be a Vanderbilt about it. Don't be a Carnegie or a, what are the other names of the robber barons? Who was the guy who, hold on, I gotta think of it. J.P. Morgan. That's the one I was trying to think of. He's the one that withdrew, he is the one that withdrew his support of Tesla's work, Nikola Tesla's work, when he realized that when he realized what Tesla was trying to do, develop communications and energy transference over wireless channels to understand the source of all things, to understand this vibrational universe. If you want to understand this universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and it's absolutely true. And the only problem that we have with anything and anybody going on has to do with hateful, harsh frequencies. Now, sometimes they are going to point at them and say, you have to get mean and tough and whatever negative about these things because that's what's required in this physical whatever. And I'm going to object to that. I'm going to say that to impulse with the universe around you coming from the impulses of your negative self is to dance with the devil, people, in innocuous and big ass meaningful ways. And you got to be careful about that. No matter how righteous you think your cause is, when you march in anger or vengeance or declaring war on another set of human beings, or declaring, even if it's just emotional war or psychological war or mental, I don't want to really kill you, but here in my mind I'm arming myself against you because I'm afraid that you and your followers are Hitler. Well, we got to watch out for that. We actually collectively have a case of PTSD, but we are not the same people. The situation is not the same, and he is not Hitler. He's not an ideologue. What he is he's more of a mob boss, and the whole thing is way more handleable this time especially if we go about it from a position of understanding who we are, keep our heads about us, understand where our bread is really buttered, and how we can really handle these coming moments. One of the first things I think we need to do is we need to instigate. Now, he's not going to want to. Oh, wow. The impulse to universal, if we would promise to love him, if he would fight for universal minimum income. What is that? Universal minimum, universal income. Everybody just gets a check for X. And it's not great, but it helps. It helps put food on the table. It helps put... No, actually, I don't want it to... I was thinking of compromise. What are they going to agree to, and how do you spiritually get them to do so? Well, I think you get them to do so by... if all of us get clear about who we are and what we want, and our understanding of the situation, and what our actual options are, the first thing is, say if we do find a way to have free, clean energy right out of the quantum field itself. Let's just imagine that for a minute. You know what's going to happen? Immediately, thousands and thousands, if not millions across the country. I don't know how many people actually work in the energy sector. Thank heavens that the Keystone Pipeline and things don't actually require hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to run the dang things. But say if you could have free, clean energy, everybody could have free, clean energy to run everything they need to run. What is it you need to run? Well, you need climate control. You need water. So we have a pump. We live on a well. We need electricity to run our pump to get our water from 300 feet, below the surface of the ground. You need communications to run your technology. You need light. You need... That's all you need. Light, climate control, water, communications. But say if all of a sudden you have that and you don't need... There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know. I got lost before because I get lost on the number. I don't know how many. There must be millions worldwide, mustn't it? And all of the supporting structure around that, it starts getting to be millions of people, because we're talking all of the people that truck all of the petroleum products everywhere. We're talking all of the people who build all of the infrastructure everywhere, that run the transportation devices, that everything that we do, the way we do it right now, if we were to do it differently, all of the people doing it the way they're doing it now are now out of a job. So you could say, well, why don't they just do the new job? Well, they may or may not feel called, but to do different aspects of that, and for sure. But the immediate thing that's going to happen is that the immediate thing that they have been doing for all of their lives, and that all of the infrastructure around it is built, it will become immediately obsolete, and now they have no way to tap in to the supply chain that is humanity, the bloodstream of humanity, which is that supply chain of goods and services and communications, food, building supplies, all of the things that people need to actually live. What is it that we need to actually live? Well, we're going to go into this on another day, when I can cover every single thing, from all of the laws of the universe, the laws of creation, steps 1, 2, 3, momentum, law of attraction, all of that sort of thing, the importance of attention and focus and the meaning of your positive and negative emotions, your actual vibrational self, your greater self, your higher mind, your binary self, the quantum field, the divine matrix. Woo-hoo! We'll do all of that. Today we appear to be focusing on over unity and energy from a practical standpoint. This notion of plugging into source energy and all of us not needing see what I want a generating device that pulls energy right out of the quantum field so that I can run my mechanicals, my own well, my own air conditioning, my own, and I don't even mind, having my well, if I'm not connected to a grid, eventually I don't want to be connected to a grid. Isn't that the dream, to be off the grid? But this dream to be off the grid doesn't have to be synonymous with being out in the boonies all by yourself. How about if you could be off the grid right there in the middle of town? Off the grid. And you're just trucking along, you have your technology that is controlling your climate, and that's more and more important, isn't it? Especially as we mess with our climate. If we had water, climate control, light, communications, and transportation, we have everything. And then if our systems of distribution continue to have transportation and all of those things, then now we're connected. We're connected to those people who way over in that community, they're not off, we have such a glorious future. We have such a glorious future, and I am tired. I'm so very, very tired of waiting for the future, for us to be ready for this future. Do you know what it's going to take for us to get ready for this future? We need to know who we are. We need to know who we are. We need to first of all understand that we are all in this together. Whether we like it or whether we don't, we are stronger the Democrats had this theme back in 2016. Stronger together, stronger together. And it's true, we are stronger together, but you've got to watch the lockstep and groupthink. You really do have to watch that. That is a problem that we collectively do and that we collectively are. And it's one of the things that whole side of the equation, the Republican side, they actually do have a nervous reaction about it. They are suspicious about spirits. The thing is that spirits cannot be put in stone. It's hard to put spirit into law. And everybody with a good, a well-meaning one day, thinking that they're doing good for human beings, might indeed actually make a whole generation of slothful creatures. Now, the difference is going to be, especially when we understand who we are, because we need to give ourselves a lot more credit than that. And understanding our wholeness and teaching one another about our wholeness, about the wholeness that we are together, and our collective story through time, who we are, where did we come from, where are we going, what's the object of the exercise, how does it all work? All of this is going to be glorious and wonderful. What's going to free us from the horrors that we are so afraid of right now is our individual ability to go off into the woods or to stay right here where we are and have our own energy from right where we are. Because, a whole lot of people, first of all, It's going to inject a lot of energy into the system, literal energy into the system that does not have to be trucked in from somewhere else. Now, everybody is not going to have one of these devices, but as soon as it is understood what these devices are and how they work and that they can work, and we make sure that that they are not snatched up by the patent office and squirreled away into some vault somewhere until they deem that we're ready for it, we show them that we're ready for it. We understand who we are. We are all in this together. Don't use these devices to, set your little kingdom up and war against your neighbor. Use these devices to fuel your own dreams and your own journey, and to allow yourself a space of time to pause and muse and consider the meaning of your fellow human beings and history and, who you really are, who we are, what it is. Let's see, who you are with a capital Y, who we are with a capital W, what it is with a capital I. Is with a capital I too, by the way. It is what it is. Who are we? How does it really work? Well, I'll tell you, first of all, we are all spinning. We are spinning. Now, you may not think that you're spinning because we're on a planet that on the surface of the planet is relatively stable because we're all spinning together. But the planet is spinning, and the whole thing is spinning around a sun, and the sun is spinning around a galaxy, and the galaxy around a cluster, and around a supercluster. And so we are spinning. And everything around you is moving in and out of your experience, largely because you're making choices to walk this way and pick up that thing and move that direction. It's all your choices. But things are moving in and out of your experience because they themselves are spinning at a very slightly different level than you are. Oh, not level, different frequency. We're all these individual spins spinning together. And I am an individual spin, and that is holy, and it is sacred, and it is really, really important, too, on the one hand. And yet, I have a source spin also, and you do too. And the source spin is the one that we share. We are all spinning together in this source spin that we all share. And that's the win-win position. That's the place where we all are, no matter whether we are on whatever side of whatever political spectrum of whatever. We are Americans, and we are all in this together. And I pledge allegiance to the flag. And actually, I had a whole different thing going. I don't want to pledge allegiance to the flag, but I will pledge allegiance to the spirit of America. The spirit of America. And in as far as that flag represents the spirit as I see it, the credo declaration that our founding fathers declared, all men are created equal, and then this attempt that they made at trying to achieve equality of opportunity and they tried to create a meritocracy, and they did to a point. And the meritocracy is good to a point, but we should recognize the value in our fellow human beings up to a point, a starting point, and then you go meritocracy from there. And up to that starting point, we should be recognizing the general value of all human beings. We are all in this together. We are one human being, actually. We are one species upon this planet. We are a super organism. And the systems that we create and the systems that we are, it is vitally, vitally, vitally important that we get them into alignment with true reality, with the frequencies of, with the spirit, with the true spirit of who we are and what our inner being knows to be true about who we are, about who we all are, about where all of our inner beings intermix with one another, MAGA or not. And the thing is you start there. You start with the point that we all agree on. Start right there. And then you move from there with good intention, with awareness also, not naivety. You got to understand how dark this can get when you don't get out ahead of it. When we as a people don't understand this and get out ahead of it. I am a student of World War II and the Nazis and Hitler and the Holocaust and all of it. I am absolutely a student of this. I've watched everything. All the good psychological stuff. I don't go into the detail. Some people get into the war minutia, the war trivia kind of thing. All the battles, and they're into the uniforms and exactly what happened and the names and the dates and all that crap. And I am not that at all, although I know the main players. And it's interesting in the Hitler-Nazi story because his main players, the center of them, Hitler's little center group, they coalesced at the beginning of the whole movement, the Beer Hall Putsch in 23, and they were all there, and the whole gang, they were like the henchmen. They called them the henchmen. They're like the aristocrats around the king, but it was something else. They came together because of a dark vision that they all shared, sort of the anti-thing that I'm trying to tell you, that we aren't all in this together, but there are some who are good and there are some who are not, and there are some cultures who are better, and if we are who are that better culture need Lebensraum, then it is our right, if we have the might and the will, so we can go in and clear out whatever we want to those and Germanify or whatever that ghastly vision was. There are some who are better than others. And it is a virtuous endeavor to clear out those who are less desirable to make room for all of us who are more desirable. That sort of philosophy. That's the problem. That's the problem. And that philosophy, maybe people don't realize, the 300 million people don't realize quite how much his philosophy. Oh man, I could have gotten out ahead of this. I really could have. If I could have fired but I didn't. Maybe that is not the role I was meant to play. To stop him. Not to stop him, but to let it play out because it's better this way. Because it's better this way. Because my side's supposed to be the reasonable side. Supposed to be the reasonable side. The good guys, the allies against the Nazis, or whatever. However people are imagining this. We are all in this together, people. And especially here in America. We are all Americans. And I have MAGA family. I do. And I love them. I do. I love them. We've got to love each other. We've got to understand where the win-win position is. Where I get to win and you get to win too. And there really is a position like that. And do you know how you're going to find it? It's not going to be, oh, she can see it and so let's all follow her. It's no, she can tell you how you can find it. Line up with your inner being, because your inner being, all of our inner beings, are standing at the win-win position. So when you truly find your inner being, you are not in a place where you are harming another. You are in harmonious, synchronistic dance with all others around you, including those that you previously, from another vantage point, might have called your, I'm air quoting the word, enemy. MAGA is not your enemy. As a matter of fact, let's think about that. Make America great again. Is that the worst thing I've ever heard? Well, the reason you don't like it is because it was used by them a century ago, and they meant it in some kind of negative ways. And so what you have to do is you have to find where they are good, and you have to find where they are right, and you have to find where, and you stand there where they are right, and you agree with them on all of that, and from there you disagree with them about their hateful rhetoric or their positions that might be harmful or hurtful to people that you love. I don't know, I'm spitballing here. Don't criticize me. Don't say, oh, you can't treat Nazis like that. Like that's like saying you can stand up in front of bullets with flowers, you know. Well, in a way, you have to let go of your resistance to what is happening. We need to understand vibrationally who we are, and we need to understand vibrationally this playbook that keeps trying to play out. And it's going to play out really quickly here. And if we can quickly understand who we are, or that's advice for all the people who are engaged that direction. For people who have no political interest whatsoever, I'm one of those people included, although I keep coming up to places where the things that I understand and the things that I advocate for are going to cause great changes, great physical changes in the way we do business. Like, I have this analogy, for instance, say if next week somebody comes up with an idea, a product, or a realization, an understanding of something that allows every single human being to almost immediately have beautiful, white, strong teeth. Then all of a sudden, the entire dentistry situation would be out of work, right? If it happened overnight, they're out of work overnight. And what do you do with all those people who spent all that money on school and there's no collective safety net about anything? We didn't educate them collectively. They paid for it themselves. Now their business evaporates. What are they going to do? And how are they going to scramble? Maybe they are a family man with 4 or 5 children, a wife, they go to church, they're, whatever. We need safety nets in place because our whole situation is going to become quite volatile. The jobs of the past and even the jobs of the present are not going to be the jobs of the future. When we truly understand cell coherence, how to truly promote cellular coherence through this recognition of this spinning field. How to spin with it, how to create with it. It's like a magnificent 3D printer, this quantum field that can become anything. And we can, with the right elements in the vicinity, we can create objects directly out of the quantum field without mining. Well, I don't know. Mining might still be required. I don't know. Manufacturing is not, and distribution, the same way that we have always done it, is not going to be necessary once we understand the field. It's like the analogy is the replicators on Star Trek, on the starships. Replicators that can create anything out of the quantum field. Once you understand how everything is spinning with everything, and how spin is everything. Spin is literally everything. Everything that you think of as stuff, at the center of every atom is a proton, at least one proton. And every proton is a little vortex of spin. And within the field of that vortex of spin is that Planck field is represented all of the protons in all of the rest of the universe. Did you know that? And where was I going to with this? I was talking about how everything is made of Plancks. And well, understanding source energy. Who am I? This spinning commonality that I have with my fellow human beings, even the ones that I'm having a hard time getting along with, because they don't understand that there are not good people and bad people. There is alignment and not alignment. I was going to say about the when we understand cell coherence and how to maintain cell coherence, we can stay alive and healthy a lot longer. And we don't have to have a model of, do you know how many people out there right now are making their living or trying to make their living through healing? There's all of the people that go through all of the regular channels to get to all of the Western medical documented, certificated levels of healthcare industry. And you can see all the huge buildings. When you drive around, you can see all the huge buildings. Loveless Healthcare, Presbyterian Healthcare, the hospitals and the huge administration buildings and the whatever. There's all of that activity going on out there. And some of it is for trauma care that we're going to still need. We're going to still need trauma care. And it's a good thing that we have health care that understands, you know, whatever it is that we understand, and we're ready to, I don't know. There's good things about it. I know there is. And there's lots of good intention within it too, within the human beings that are running the healthcare system. But when we truly understand true cellular coherence, through understanding source energy and who we are and this spin and all that, we're going to understand how to be healthy. And so all of that, a great deal of all of that infrastructure is going to just lie dormant. And won't it be wonderful when it does? The only thing we're going to still need, and we'll still need quite a bit of it, and that's trauma care. And one of the reasons we're going to need a lot of trauma care is because we're going to be having fun all over this planet, and we're going to be getting banged up all the time, skiing and skydiving and, you know, the jet boating down rapids and all of the things, parasailing, scuba diving. We're going to need to probably create some more barometric chambers for the people who stay down a little too long, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. We're going to need all of that, but all of these huge institutions of sickness care, we're not going to need that anymore. And what are we going to do with all of the administrators and all of the blah, da, 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 da? We need to streamline who we are. We need to come together who we are, but we need to come together in spirit, truly understanding the nature of reality and the nature of ourselves, the nature of our inner being, the nature of our collective inner being, the nature of energy itself, the nature of this quantum field that we are swimming in, that we are spinning in. All of that. We need to understand this in order to truly be safe. And I am interested in being safe. And you know what? I can handle my collective humanity being a little bit crazy around me if I have, you know, I can even go along with the collective energy thing going on right now. Alls I can do is do bridge work. So I can have a bridge generator system that runs on natural gas, for instance. Maybe it runs on natural gas. Or maybe it's going to have to run on what? What is it going to run on? Propane? Is it going to run on gasoline? Solar? I do have solar panels, but those solar panels tie me to a grid and it feeds back and forth. It feeds onto a grid and then I pull from the grid when I'm using more, that kind of thing. Standard green energy stuff. I'm not talking about any of those things. I'm talking about over unity devices. And if we understood over unity devices, that they even existed, that they were possible, we would be saying, what the F are we doing monkeying around with fossil fuels still? With pipelines of tar sands across sacred aquifers, down to refineries in the Gulf that then cart it across heaving seas to markets to sell it for what? For power. Energy for power. Well, what's going to happen when we all have clean, free energy? It's going to change the game. It's going to change the game. But you know what? I think the side who thinks right now that they have to be in control of, I got to figure out how to love my neighbor as myself. Love my enemy. Love your enemies. That is what Jesus taught. Love your enemy and quit thinking of them as an enemy, because we are all in this together. We are one single species on this planet, and we help each other every step of the way, and we trade goods with one another. We trade communications with one another. We trade our bodies. We swap back and forth. I go visit New Zealand. New Zealanders come visit America. I go golf in Scotland. Scotlanders come and golf in New Mexico. We are a circulatory creature. They sell us smoked salmon. We sell them green chili. Who are we? Who are we? And how do we get from this crazy, angry, aggravated, agitated place that we are right now to a better understanding of who we are collectively, so that we can actually move forward into the blessed future that is waiting for us, that is non-resistant. Quit resisting. Resistance is futile. But what you want to advocate for from this point onward, don't resist the darkness, advocate the light. There is a difference. When you spend all your time fearful, angry, focused on the darkness, and frightened of it, and resisting it, guess what? You are contributing to the vibrational frequency of the darkness around you. But I don't blame you. It is Shiva energy lying around us, and it is everywhere. And the reason that there is so much Shiva energy around, so much demonic, Loki, burn it to the ground, angry, everybody's emotions are all churned up. And probably at some point I should plug in just a little bit, just so that I can refer to some of the big kerfuffles or the whatever. I don't want to get caught up into it, because in a way there is us and thems, but you can't really see it that way. You got to understand we are all in this together, and we are a single organism, and the only way that we are going to flourish on planet Earth into the future is to completely understand I don't want to say the words what we are up against, because that's the problem. We're not up against. Don't be up against. We do seem to be up against something, though, don't we? Well, releasing that and going with the flow and understanding who you are and understanding who they are. Stay in alignment with your inner being. When you are in alignment with your inner being, you will only interact with others in ways where you maybe catch glimpses of their higher self, or you find places where you can uplift or edify or inspire or soothe or we need to be soothed into better behavior, not punished into better behavior. But all of the jangly negative energy around is being caused by systems that are not including all of us. We are like a whole body that, has parts of the body that aren't getting circulation. And then the body is agitated because the toe starts to necrofy, because it isn't connected to the system properly. We have to connect to the whole system. We all have to be connected to the whole system, at least in opportunity. And when you go along with the wholeness, then you are supported. And when you don't, then you are left out. But you have to be able to do it in an environment where you can go do your own thing however you want. Little pods of wherever, little kingdoms all over the world, all united in spirit, in this sense of we're all in this together. And what will the nations become? They're going to be more like personalities, flavors and colors and foods and fashions and the flavors, I don't know, cultures. Well, it'll be more cultures rather than national powers. Everybody's going to be engaged in this joyous dance of play and work and play and production, and I don't know, I see a joyous future for us. But we've got to get past this thing that we do. This authoritarian psychosis on the one hand, and our scarcity creation on the other hand. But, if we would crack this energy thing, we have all the technology to do everything we need to do to heal the ecology of planet Earth. We can reestablish the natural rhythms of our planet. First of all, we need to get off fossil fuel, but you don't even need to worry about that. That would be like people at the turn of the 20th century saying, you know what, I can see this fabulous, really fun, interesting century coming up. But what we've got to do is we have got to get off of horses and buggies. And that's not the way it works. You turn and you look at somebody invents a car and everybody's like, oh, this is really cool. And then you go after the car and everybody just does it naturally because they're interested, because they want to, because they are inspired, because they are impulsed to do it that way. And in this moment, it's going to be the same way. When people understand that an over-unity device is possible, how much better is it to have a device that just you tune it into whatever you're tuning it into, or you line it up, whatever. Apparently, it is possible to have a solid state connection to source energy, which would mean no moving parts. Actually, what I saw in by the way, news from the pod, news from the show, is that today, supposedly, I've still got my fingers and my legs and my toes and everything else crossed, my eyes. I'm hoping that I have my technology session today so that tomorrow I actually start up, my podcast is on streaming services everywhere, so that when you go to where podcasts are, You can type in the words, who am I? And I'm at least one of the choices you get. I'm hoping it's number 1. We're going to figure out how to do some search engine optimization so that I am indeed number 1. But it doesn't have to be. As long as I'm identifiable and I can point you to it. Yeah, go listen to my podcast. We will be live streaming and podcasting possibly as soon as tomorrow. Now, I actually have a podcast, but it doesn't have any more visibility than my YouTube channel does, and I need to work on that. That's another thing we're going to do today. We're going to work on, I'm ready. I am finally ready to have people in the room listening. Now, I know nobody is going to hear that, but come tomorrow, I might have some higher visibility, so there might be some more people in the room. Anyway, who am I? Who am I, and how does this over unity, how has it changed the game? Well, it's so easy to see how it changes the game. Right now, we trade energy in the form of, it's like what backs dollars, the petrodollar. Energy futures, energy units. I can take a barrel of oil or a unit of electricity and go out there on the open market and I can sell it. Well, I mean, I can't just take a unit of electricity and go out onto the market and sell it. But it is done. It is traded. Energy units are traded. It costs me money to have energy units that run my air conditioning, that run my heater, that run my internal combustion engine out there in the carport, that run my computer that I am plugged into, my microphone that I am speaking into. All of these things are run by units of energy that we pay for. Absolutely. So what's the first thing that's going to happen when we realize that it is possible? Well, first of all, some people are going to want to go and hang those responsible. I think we should try not to do that. I don't think we should do that. Maybe we should very gently set them out of their, strip them of some of their possessions, but not all of them. Leave them one nice house, one really nice house, and enough money to buy all the over unity devices that they want. Give them, one piece of their land where they can grow things. Don't make the mistake that the world did last century with Germany. When they won the war against Germany, the Allies won the war, they tagged all of the dark crap, they pinned it right to Germany. All the guilt, all of the war debt, all of the blame, all of the shame, all of the responsibility, they were handed it. You lost, it was your effing responsibility. When, it takes two to tango, people. It really does. And it even takes two when you're talking about even the next iteration, it took two. Because Hitler we shouldn't have taken him seriously. We should have recognized that he was sick. We should have also recognized what he was, so we wouldn't have underestimated him. We didn't take him seriously. People say, oh, we didn't take him seriously. That was the problem. No, it was part of the problem. We took him seriously, but we didn't take him seriously. And we can go into that on if you translated that into something that you're arguing fiercely about, then that's not how I meant it. Because I'm not meaning it in any kind of controversial way. I recognize that there was a problem all the way around with that. And we let it get to the point where there was no other way, it seemed, to handle. But I think that the next time this tries to happen, we have to recognize it as the authoritarian psychosis, as the Wetiko disease, as the psychic condition that it is, and understand what the remedy of it is. The remedy of it is to snap the Wetiko out of their Wetiko trance, bring them back into the body of humanity. But we can't do that when we recognize, when we identify them as MAGA, and then we put them on the other side of an us and them. Then we have done it. And it's a problem. It's a problem. The polarity is the evil. It is the thing to be wary of, not the other. The very act of otherizing is the problem. So what do you do with that when the other guy really is a problem? Interesting questions all. And we're going to tackle these again tomorrow. I'm at an hour and 15. That's long enough. I really love this particular backdrop. If you see it again tomorrow, forgive me, because I may want it to be the backdrop of the very first one that more than 2 or 3 people are going to see. It's very possible that because I'm going to get picked up on places where people pick up podcasts, somebody might go, oh, this is interesting. And just, the algorithm of the universe will allow for more vibrations to track into this stream of thought. I think it's important. Who are we? And what is the pathway out of the wilderness we find ourselves in? What is the answer? What is the solution? I will turn my face to the solution. It is at a completely different level than where the problem is. And I'm not going to go down to where the level of the problem is and slug it out. Not going to do that. We are all in this together, like it or not. And your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. And we need to figure out how to be one with one another. Both let's just do it as our government is only one expression of ourselves, and each one of us individually has the ability to, from your own position, exhibit alignment. And from your position of alignment, do you inspire others to their alignment? And even unto those who have taken control of the reins of government can be inspired to their alignment. And through their alignment, we can all dance together in harmony no matter what we call ourselves. Do you understand how this can work? I know it sounds naive, sounds kind of Quakery, sounds a little bit, I don't know, but I think I'm on to something. And we're going to explore it again tomorrow. One of the reasons I think I'm on to something is because this isn't just let's be peaceful. It's let's be peaceful and understand where our power is. Understand where it is. Those who are in alignment are more powerful than millions who are not. So if you want to magnify your power to influence to the positive the field around you, get yourself into your alignment and then follow your impulses to do whatever it is, to open a bakery, to become a massage therapist, to whatever people do, whatever it is that people do. A lot of the jobs of the future that will remain viable jobs will be eateries, the production of food, and all the way through to the presentation of prepared food. That whole chain of activity will always have value. And as soon as there is free, clean energy, there's going to be a whole lot more of that springing up, because now it is viable to run the orchard, because You don't need to pay for the fuel to run the farm machinery anymore. You're running right off of the grid. You have all the water you need. You can control your climate. Maybe you can even, through climate control, through ways that are not like smudge pots or those kind of vile old technologies of how to keep the orchard warm, you can fend off frost better. And now you can have a dependable crop of amazing peaches, and you can afford to do it and still pay the two or three, maybe the family that lives on the property with you, that is working with you. You can afford to pay all of them good wages so that they can make selections of what to buy off of the human supply chain. Can you see where I'm going with this? We have a fabulous future in front of us. We just have to understand who we are and live positively, optimistically, in faith and in positivity. With our face towards the future, don't spend our time pushing against that which we don't like or that which we are afraid of. We will only give it more power and make it more dangerous. Instead, love because you're a lover, not because they're lovable. And don't do it hypocritically. You have to actually find the place where you recognize that, hey, it is a whole picture. We are all in this together. There is a reason that this mindset crops up right alongside this other mindset, because we are one being. That's all I have to say about that. Well, it isn't all that I have to say about that. We are one being, but you have to do it from your sacredly, blessedly individual side. And then we are also all in this together. It's both. And we need to collectively and individually understand this collective and individual truth and act out of that and create our systems out of that and take care of each other from that direction, understand each other, all of that. I know it sounds like pie in the sky, and it kind of is, but it is our future. This is where we are going. There will be peace on earth. I don't know how many wars it will take us. How many wars must a man... I don't know how many, but I think we're getting close to the end. Well, there will not be another world war, or we will not make it. And I have heard, well, that's a whole nother can of worms. I've heard that there are forces that are protecting us. They will only protect us from global thermonuclear war. That's the one thing because it will have repercussions into other dimensions. They cannot let us destroy ourselves to that degree, because there will be reverberations through the vibrational universe that will affect more than just us. So I've heard that. It gives me heart. But I also believe that the more of us that focus on the positive nature of who we are and how this can work, the more likely it is to work. So with that in mind, look for my show tomorrow. I am excited. I'm very excited. My name is Amelie Starchild. That, of course, is not my name. I may, on the very first show, I may say my actual name. And then I will re-identify myself as Amelie Starchild. And from that point on, that is who I will be. So if you're looking forward to that, tomorrow I will give my actual name. If you already know me, you know what it is already. So with that, let me just close. I kind of understand why certain meetings do a benediction. You kind of have to wrap it up and tie it in a bow with the spirit that you mean it. The spirit that I mean it in is a loving collective spirit I love my life. I love life. I love this universe that we have been born into, although that's not really the right way to look at it. We have coalesced ourselves into this universe. Through our own desire, we have brought ourselves, we have chosen to be here. You have chosen to be here. You are here because you want to be here, because this is where it is fun. And I'm telling you, the moment when we quit pushing against each other and start realizing how freaking much fun is possible, we are just going to faint. We're going to pee ourselves with delight. And with that sacred thought, I will leave you until tomorrow. And until then, of course, you couldn't possibly not have the source with you, but as always I say, until then, may the source be with you.